Well, I see you started out with prayer. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm a conservative Christian. I think that's a good idea. So, with that in mind, when he did that, I said, okay, what does Proverbs 29:12 say? If a ruler honors liars, all his advisors will be wicked. Sound familiar? Proverbs 29:16, when the wicked are in authority, sin increases. Sound familiar? Proverbs 29:25, fearing people is a dangerous trap, but to trust the Lord means safety. That's the problem in politics today. We fear some of the people that are in leadership positions, and we fear them more than we do God who gave us this country. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Proverbs 29:27 says, the godly despise the wicked, and the wicked despise the godly. That's why I'm here. I despise the wicked, and I quite frankly despise the wicked that are within our party, and they are there. So they asked me to speak on a little bit on the swamp, but I told them I wanted to speak on the swamp, illegal immigration. I wanted to speak about radical Islam. 2 issues, or 3 issues that are really big in my heart. And that's one reason I think we need term limits, and we also need a part-time legislature, and I'll get into that as well in a moment. The swamp exists because us, the elected official, or we keep electing the same officials without even knowing their voting record. So we're sold down the tubes. When we look on the radio, or hear on the radio or the television, a slick ad, a really slick ad, makes a guy sound really good, but nobody knows the voting record. Anybody here know how you can find that out? Like votespotters.org? Look it up. Look and see how your guy voted, even though he said he was a conservative and he was going to stop spending. Really? What happened is just the last few years in Michigan? Our budgets have gone up bigger than under Granholm. Did you know that? Bigger. Why? What they need to do is freeze every stinking budget in the state of Michigan for at least a year or 2. I was on appropriations, spending. I chaired transportation. I made sure you never got a tax increase on your fuel. You never did when I chaired it. I found that money in the general fund. So what did we do as a people? We voted, we didn't want a tax increase. What happened in Michigan? They said, oh yes you do, we're going to give you one. Not only did they give you a tax increase that raised $1.6 billion, they gave it to you with an automatic inflation factor. So every year, your taxes and your gas are going to go up. Isn't that amazing? So what did that really do for Snyder? It gave him money that would have been used from the general fund that we use for roads, which I always found at $1.2, $1.3 billion. And it let him spend that money elsewhere for other programs. So the government just gets bigger and bigger and takes more of your money. Now, when they vote for things like that in Lansing and it's a bad bill, here's what they do. Been there, done that. When they know it's bad and they voted bad, they take their people and they put them in front of a camera, like I got a camera here, and they pepper them with questions like, why did you vote for that? Why did you do this? And then they show them the video. And then they tell the guys, here's how you should have answered that. So when they go out, they all got the same message. They all saying the same thing when they know they did the wrong thing. So what I'm asking you, how many of you here are delegates? Oh, super. How many are just trying to be a delegate? Okay, especially you. Best thing I can tell you is Lansing or Congress, their job is to change you. Your job is to resist, even as a delegate. Because what they like is sheep that just follow. I call them useful idiots. They believe what they're being told, and they do what they are told. Don't do it. If you know it's wrong, stand your ground. And what they will try to do is mash you into the ground and make you so frustrated that you just leave and say, I've had enough. That happens to a lot of people. We've had a lot of purges in the Republican Party to eliminate conservatives. I've seen it actively. And the problem is we have an oligarchy, listen to me, of very wealthy people that give a lot of money, and your districts and your counties need that money to run. I understand that. Money is the mother's milk of politics. It is. You need money to win. But the problem is, because those few individuals give most of the money, they are listened to and they do what they're told to obtain that money. That's why individuals will give $10, $20, $30, $50. If enough of you do that, you can overcome those wealthy donors, the oligarchy of wealthy donors that are really steering the ship. And a lot of people that are in office, for example, when I ran for office, why did I run? I was a former fighter pilot, former airline pilot, master's degree in business. Why did I do it? I didn't need the job. That's key. The guy shouldn't need the job. That's why I like a part-time legislature, because I don't need the job. But why did I do it? Because I didn't like politicians. I hear what they said, and in one term, they're in there doing exactly the opposite. For example, I'm going to name names. Who's one of the most liberal congressmen in Michigan? Anybody know? Upton. He's got lots of money. His ads are slick. They're all baloney, but they're slick. He's got a lot of money, Whirlpool. So that's a good example of, I tell people, if they're not voting the way they said they were going to vote, primary them. I don't even care if you think you can't win. They need a primary challenger. That sends a message to them, I need to vote differently, or people are going to keep primarying me. And I've already done it, just threatened to run against one guy, and he did a complete right-hand turn. Because he knew, oh God, I don't want to get primaried. I have to spend money. I'm going to have to knock on doors again. I'm going to have to do all these things. Do that. Hold their feet to the fire. Don't just believe what they say. Match what they say with their voting record. That makes sense? And a lot of times, why do they change? I would say 80 to 85% of the people that I have met in Lansing, after one term, have completely changed. Why? They need the money to run for their next election. So I've seen them completely go left and do what they were told. Now here's another thing. Look at the people who have the most amount of money in their committee to elect or leadership fund. Those are the people that have taken money from PACs and large donors and sold their soul for that money for the re-election. Usually the best people are the people with the least amount of money in their PACs, because they didn't do what they were told by the lobbyists or the leadership. And I was told several times, Dave, you got to vote on this bill. I said, no, I'm not going to vote on that bill. And by the way, I was voted 100% conservative. Okay, that's tough to get. And I didn't do it, I wasn't really trying for it. I would look at a bill and say, does it raise the tax finder fee? If it raised the tax finder fee, I said, I'm off the bill. I'll find that money in the existing budget without spending more money. They don't do that. You'll have the Chamber of Commerce coming up to them. You have lobbyists come up to them and say, hey, we need help on this, and if you can do that, we can help you out. Then they have fundraisers in Lansing, and suddenly they find a lot of money that's given to them from those PACs. So money is driving your good people bad. That makes sense? That's what happens. That actually is what happens in Lansing, and it happens in Congress even worse. So that's the swamp. And I just wanted to ask you, when everybody got in office and the congressmen were in there, what's the first thing they said? We're going to defund Planned Parenthood. Why are we still paying for it? We're going to stop funding for Obamacare. Why are we still funding it? We're going to stop Common Core. Why is it still there? We're going to stop the LGBT. Didn't happen. We're called, when I stood up against the LGBT movement and the radical Islam, I was called an Islamophobe and a homophobe. And that's what they do. They try to destroy your character. In the newspaper, they will say false statements, and then your other compatriots that are either representatives or congressmen, they're afraid to stand up for you, even though they know what's being said is false. That's what they did to me. So they run away, or they say, he really shouldn't be Republican National Committeeman if he said that. I helped a guy by the name of Justin Amash. You heard of him get elected. He put in the paper, quote unquote, Republican National Committeeman says that Muslims do not contribute to our society. Absolutely false. I didn't say that. I've cornered him on that. Why'd you do that? Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'd like a retraction. He never retracted it. But why was it done? Because he was being pressured by people to do that.